Last week, Justin Houston made his return to Kansas City, a place where he racked up over 78 sacks and set the franchise record for most sacks in a season, including 9 sacks, 5 forced fumbles and an interception in only 12 games last season. Then he was released. Houston was out for revenge and he got it, but more on that later, because after this game I decided I want to make a list of some of the best and mostly recent revenge games by players against their former teams. Listen everyone, Gardner Minshew and I need your help. If we can get this channel to 69,420 subscribers, Roger Goodell said he will give Gardner Minshew MVP this season. If we're going to talk about revenge, you have to start with Brett Favre, and this is as far back as we'll be going. To simplify a complicated story, Favre was forced out of Green Bay in favor of the young Aaron Rodgers, and after a quick stopover in New York, Favre joined the Vikings in 2009 and the stage was set. Favre proved to the Packers he still had plenty left in the tank to the tune of 515 yards, 7 touchdowns, and no interceptions over 2 games against his former team. Now, the next season didn't go as well, but Favre did what he set out to do when he left the Packers: beat them. So we've covered the highest profile revenge series, why not move on to a player with probably the most revenge games to his name, Deshaun Jackson. The Eagles released Jackson in 2014 and he swiftly went on to join division rivals Washington Redskins. In his first game against the Eagles in Philadelphia, Jackson went for 117 yards and a score in a 3-point loss. But later that season he had 126 yards in a win for the Redskins by the same margin. And in his final game against the Eagles for the Redskins, Jackson recorded 102 yards and a touchdown in a win in Philadelphia. But it's not over yet, as Jackson joined the Buccaneers and in 2018 burnt the Eagles for 129 yards and a touchdown. Now, unfortunately, he wasn't able to get revenge on the Redskins because, well, Ryan Fitzpatrick was his quarterback, and the Eagles finally had enough and re-signed him this offseason, setting up that Week 1 tilt against the Redskins, where Jackson exploded for 154 yards and 2 touchdowns. Revenge tour officially finished. Well, the Eagles do play the Buccaneers in 2021, so you never know. For this next one, I suggest you put on some goggles, folks,
because it's going to be blood and guts everywhere.
Steve Smith Sr. took his release from the Panthers in 2014 extremely personally and promised war when he returned to face them with the Ravens in Week 4, and he did not disappoint. 139 yards and 2 touchdowns. Not bad for a 35-year-old, and also more than any Panthers receiver managed in a single game the entire 2014 season. Andre Johnson is the Texans' first ever franchise legend, drafted a year after they joined the NFL and dominating defenses for the next decade after that. So it was a bit of a surprise when he was informed he would no longer start for the team and was granted a release from the team in 2015, after which he joined the Colts. Granted, after 12 seasons he was starting to decline, but Johnson saved his last great performance for his return to Houston, catching 6 passes for 77 yards and 2 touchdowns in a game the Colts won. Let's stay on the topic of franchise legends. Adrian Peterson has had a pretty bad run of luck since the Vikings chose not to resign him in 2017. He joined the Saints, was all set for a revenge game in Week 1 prime time, and was given 6 carries in a game the Vikings won. During the season, he was traded to the Cardinals, who gave him a fairer workload but released him in 2018. Peterson then found his way onto the Redskins and had another shot at a Week 1 revenge match, this time against the Cardinals, where he rushed for 96 yards and a touchdown, as well as recording 70 receiving yards. Revenge achieved, but probably against the one team he would feel the least ill will towards. It was all setting up for a major clash against the Saints in Week 4, but Peterson only got 4 carries. I'm not sure if you can call this next one a revenge game, but it's definitely interesting. In 2018, Brandon Bolden joined the Dolphins from the Patriots after 6 seasons in New England. Now, he was barely used by the Dolphins, getting 8 carries all season long, but a quarter of those carries came against his former team. 2 carries, 60 yards, 2 touchdowns. Bolden has since rejoined the Patriots, who are using him a little more with 2 touchdowns already, so I'm not sure if it's a revenge game, as there's clearly no ill will between the two parties. And now we're moving further into the realm of recent memory. In 2018, the Chiefs traded Marcus Peters to the Rams for a couple of picks. In Week 11, Marcus Peters came up with a pick that secured the Rams' 54-51 win over the Chiefs. This next one isn't exactly a successful revenge game, but it's got an interesting stat hidden in there. Do you guys remember Isaiah Crowell? No, just about an average starting running back, has a good game here and there, like Chris Ivory. You remember him? No? Oh, well, anyway, Crowell started all 16 games for the 0-16 Browns, averaged over 4 yards a carry the last 2 seasons, but ended on the Jets in 2017 when the Browns didn't re-sign him. And it was all set up for a revenge match in week 3, except Crowell ran for 34 yards on 16 carries, but he also got 2 touchdowns in that game, which is as many as he got the entire season before in Cleveland. Not a revenge game, but an interesting fact. Now, did you ever think that you'd see Case Keenum on a list of games played well? Yeah, neither did the Rams. That's why they benched him for Goff in 2016 and set him free the following offseason. When Keenum and the Vikings played against the Rams in Week 11, he was keen to show that he wasn't so bad after all, throwing for 280 yards and a touchdown with a 71% completion percentage in a 24-7 win. And he made it deeper into the playoffs than the Rams. And finally, we make it to the current season. Clinton Dix had a shot at both of his previous teams this year already. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to do much in a Week 1 loss to the Packers, but he got right to work on the Redskins with 2 interceptions, one of them for a touchdown. The Redskins chose another Alabama safety over Clinton Dix in Landon Collins, and Clinton Dix chose the chance to actually win some games this year with the Bears over the Redskins. I'm not sure if Ndamukong Suh actually has feelings or emotions, but you'd figure he would at least want to take some revenge on the Rams for not re-signing him to what was supposed to be a Super Bowl contender and leaving him to sign with the Buccaneers. He got his revenge in a surprise upset in Week 4, scoring a touchdown off a fumble recovery in a game the Bucs won 55-40. And finally, we come back to Justin Houston. Houston returned to Kansas City with the clear underdog Colts and helped them pull off the upset of the season. That is until the Patriots lose to the Dolphins in Week 17. Not only did his team win, Houston played a central and vital role in holding the Chiefs to the least points they've ever scored since Mahomes became their starter. He got a sack on Patrick Mahomes that didn't mean much because the Chiefs scored a touchdown on the next play, but he got a huge 4th down stop to give the Colts the ball back late in the 4th quarter to put the game out of reach. Researching this was pretty tricky. Most of the games I included were based off memory, so if you have any games like this that you can think of, I'd love it if you shared them in the comments below. Now, I've tried to keep it as recent as possible, except for games that were obvious outliers to me, like the Brett Favre game. Now, I made this video as long as it needed to be, which wasn't near 10 minutes, so liking, subscribing, and commenting helps me out a lot when YouTube doesn't pay the big bucks.